They're sensory. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to our June Washington area program of projects, community advisory group CAG meeting. We're glad you're here. As usual, we do have interpretation available, and you will see that on the bottom right hand of your screen. And you do need to select the language of your preference and in either English or Spanish.
Bienvenidos a todos a esta reunión de los proyectos del área de la Washington y a esta reunión del comité consultativo. Como saben ustedes, estas reuniones son bilingües. Si hacen el favor de si ven el globo en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla, pulsan ese globo y seleccionan el idioma de su preferencia. Good to go, Anthony.
Terrific. Okay, next slide. All right, so I am now, as usual, we are fortunate that we have Catherine Archuleta from Dimension Strategies with us to facilitate our meeting this evening. So Catherine, I will turn it over to you.
So welcome everybody. We're excited to have you here again with us tonight. I hope you're having a good summer. Happy a few days after solstice. Either your favorite day of the year or the least favorite. I never know quite whether I like the longest day or just and get depressed because they're shorter after that. But that's my own thing. I won't go into it any further. Thank you for listening to me. So we have a full agenda for you today. We have Heron Pond CSU at the National Western Center update, which will be Sarah's going to join us, and it's going to be really, I think, valuable information for those of you who've been wondering our next steps at the National Western. And then we'll move on to 44th and Pearl and other updates. We have an hour-long agenda, but we have plenty of time for discussion. We'd encourage you either to raise your hand or to put questions or comments in the chat. We save all those chat remarks, so we'll be sure to keep those and respond to them if we don't have time or if they're more complicated than what we can do in the meeting. So don't hesitate to use both avenues. And if I don't see your hand, Anthony's usually really good at alerting me, but also you can just interrupt me or interrupt the speaker as they're moving along. We will give time for questions and answers throughout. We're being really sensitive to doing that. So I think we can, we're going to offer every opportunity for you to participate and engage in the conversation. So I think we're going to start with Heron Pond. I think everybody's here for Heron Pond. Is that right? Since Ray, you're going to do Heron Pond?
Yep, I'm here and ready to go.
Okay. I know you were rushing to get here, so thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the quick rush and quick sit down and got your phones in. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Heron Pond.
All right, so you can go to the next slide. And you can go to the next one, but I think many of you are familiar with this site. It's at 51st and Emerson. And yeah, it's really exciting. You may have seen some construction over the last year, building what we've called phase 1A, which was primarily focused around the levee and the South Platte Regional Trail. But we just started to mobilize for phase 1B. So if you go to the next slide. Thanks. This is the phase that's really focused on a lot of the infrastructure and stormwater management component of the park. So as you can kind of see outlined in the box around the text and then also the blue area, that's primarily where most of the work is going to be focused within this phase. And again, it's really to start doing a lot of the major and fine grading to set up the regional water quality facility, build new pipes, and incorporate that green infrastructure component into the park, which will ultimately benefit Heron Pond and just improve the overall ecological function of the site. So that is kicking off now. You may have seen equipment mobilizing. If you go to the next, well, sorry, one more thing before. So I just want to remind everyone that there is a third phase. So again, this phase is just really setting up the future park improvements. So we will be coming back out to the community and re-engage with you all when we re-kick off the final design of those park improvements. Not a lot has changed from what we had originally shown, but we are still expecting to design and build the regional playground, all the additional park trails, the park pavilion picnic area with restrooms. It includes lighting and signage and the additional restoration of the site. So those elements are to come in the future, but we won't be able to kick off construction for that for another 18 to 24 months. Okay, now. So you may have all seen a construction notification come out. So this is just the graphic to kind of show the areas that will be closed for access during construction. We are trying to leave some areas open so that the community can still utilize some of these spaces, especially considering we do have to close a significant portion of the park for a very long time. We acknowledge that there is still a lot of community use out here. So a lot of those, multi-use turf fields will remain open. And then the loop that goes around Heron Pond itself. So hopefully you've received this. If not, please reach out and we'll make sure that you're on the mailing list and continue to provide updates over the course of construction. Next slide. So one really exciting component of the work that we're doing that we want to make sure is clearly communicated, and we heard from our steering committee during the master planning process and through the design process, is really preserving what's special about Heron Pond. And one way that we're doing that is by utilizing design criteria called the Sustainable Sites Initiative, sites. And it's essentially LEED, which is, for buildings, but for landscapes. And so the purpose is to really encourage the most sustainable design and development of this park space. And so we have done analysis to make sure that we are protecting vital vegetation areas. And so it's a really exciting kind of pilot for the city. This is the first park that we will certify through this process. And again, it just kind of helps meet a lot of the goals that were outlined in the master plan. Next slide. So I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail real quickly about what the current phase of construction is going to primarily construct. So as you can see here, the existing stormwater management really utilizes those concrete trapezoidal channels that come through at 51st and at 52nd Avenue. And there's some vegetation, there's cattails, but for the most part, it's a lot of trash and debris, and it doesn't provide any real wildlife, recreational or water quality value to the park or the community. So if you go to the next slide, so this is just a reminder from the master plan that really the main goal of the work that we're doing is to look at how we're going to reconstruct those channels, naturalize them, and have them overspill into this very large but gradually graded kind of constructed wetland that will really purify that water, improve Heron Pond, and create a really cool ecological learning space that's really well integrated into the surrounding park uses. So that's the main goal of this current phase. So that's the primary work that you will see going on over the next several months before we then quickly kick off the park improvement phase. So the next slide just kind of shows you, the overview of the master plan. If you haven't been involved to date, the master plan is included online at denvergov.org/Heron Pond. So if you weren't involved in that planning process or you're new to the community, I definitely encourage you to go take a look at that just to get a better understanding. And then if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. Questions about where we're at? Any other questions you might have about the open space and the park update?
If not, Jim, maybe we'll let you talk a little bit about your more technical side of this picture.
Sure.
Just let me just be sure that we don't have any questions. Doesn't look like it. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, Jim.
Okay, yeah, so as we were discussing, this is kind of rehashing what Sensory started. If we focus on that blue area there, that is our primary work zone. I noted on there, we're putting in 18 acre feet. That's probably doesn't mean a lot, but it's about a 9-acre pond, and this is an 80-acre site. So about 10% of the site is going to be part of the pond area. That doesn't mean it'll have water all the time. It's just after it rains for about a day up to a day and a half, that water would slowly recede and work its way back out to the Platte. And that really does help take a lot of the trash, the dirt, the debris, and even some of the chemicals that are picked up along the way. And especially with the small storm events that happen up in the basin, we have over a square mile coming to this point. So all that water really just goes through the natural channel in the site into Heron Pond and then on its way to the Platte today. So this is really going to help that out. And as Sensory noted, there is a lot of trash and debris that has been dumped on the site over the years. We put the pond in the area where a lot of that dumping has occurred. So we will be removing that, sending it off site to the dump and getting it out of here. There's some industrial waste in there and just street sweeping stuff, that just things that have been dumped off through the years. So we're taking out 130,000 cubic yards, and that probably doesn't mean a lot to folks, but if you imagine those big, long side dump, the hauler trucks that are out there, those carry about 17 cubic yards. If you can imagine those being full, it would take at least 8,000 of them. So that is what we're hauling out of there to really clean up the situation we have out there and get us a good pond to perform like we want it to. We've also really, through the Sites Initiative and just parks being a great steward of their property, bringing in some good plant life that is should thrive out here and grow quickly and help it perform better than a lot of the ponds that you'll see throughout town. Pretty excited to see this one go up personally and see how it works. We do have really, it says 2 storm outfalls. There are 2 forebays. Sensory had them in her slide, one at 52nd and one at 51st. That's going to help catch the sediment before it gets into the pond. As a small storm event happens, it picks up the dirt on the ground, the stuff that hasn't been picked up by a street sweeper, stuff like that, and it'll get caught in the sediment traps there before it gets into the pond and gets it all yucky. And then the pond itself has 2 more structures before it enters Heron Pond to help screen and catch stuff before that didn't make it in the forebays. They'll catch it before it actually gets to Heron Pond. So as Sensory said, this really should help out Heron Pond and help it perform better, look better. And then I also have notes on there that we have water, sanitary, and electrical for the future park improvements. The pavilion and other amenities out there are gonna, we're setting ourselves up so we can just, when phase 2 kicks off, we can just go build a building. We don't have to try and bring the work to the building. It should just be able to get going. So next slide. This shows, again, what Sensory had said. We've been working on phase 1A, so it's really been along the river, that blue area. There, the levee there, it was performing, but we added an extra couple feet to help protect the neighborhood. And this project is going to continue for, south of 48th Avenue. It's going to keep continuing on. So this was part of a bigger project that was already in the works for years. We just happened to add it to this project because it was right in our work zone. So we wanted to get out there, get it done early as we got our project going. We also replaced the regional trail. I was out there today. There's a lot of cool engravings and wayfinding out there. New watershed wall. It's going to be a big improvement. I hope you'll enjoy it. So that it says completed summer 2022. They're just weeks away, maybe just a couple weeks from finishing that. So that's pretty exciting for us to get that improvement done and get that trail open back up for us. So next slide. So this is kind of, like I said, 9 acres. That's the bulk of the area right there, showing where the pond is at. That big blobus thing right in the middle. Like I said, it's mostly going to be dry. It would be dry today. You just have nice green grass and hopefully that's all you're noticing while you're out there. And as Sensei said, we made the slopes not super steep, so it doesn't look like a bathtub like a lot of ponds do. I think we did a really great job making this not look just like a pond. We made it part of the park. She showed in one of her slides up in the north end there is the overlook. It's gonna be a really cool metal structure out there to help for bird watching and just checking out the area. That place is going to be really nice, and that should be open really throughout phase 2. We're not really doing any work out there, so really by the end, by the middle of next year, I think that'll be open and ready to go. I also noted on there that we have 2 parking lots, one at 52nd and one at 51st. Those are going to really add more parking to the park because hopefully we got a lot of people coming out to check it out. We're also replacing 51st and Emerson. They're currently just asphalt, no curb and gutter, no sidewalk. We are really upgrading those to the condition that they should be. And then the Washington project will be continuing 51st all the way to Washington as well. So really opening up that corridor, tying in with the trail system. I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be great. So it's just, by the end of next year, we're going to have it up and running and get ready for the park project. That is, our intent is for the site to never really be inactive. The next contractor be coming in as the current contractor is leaving. So, and I was out there today. They're just getting started. The equipment's showing up daily. So it's going to be coming soon. There's going to be a lot of hauling traffic in and out of there, but it's going to be great. So I'm pretty excited about it.
It's coming out of the ground.
Yep.
I'm wondering if there are questions or comments from our CAG members. You're pretty quiet tonight. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sensei.
Hear me?
Yeah, no, AE, is that you?
Yeah, I was looking for my hand thing. I just found
Okay,
it.
gotcha. Go ahead.
So I have a question that's kind of a request for an elaboration relative to how the improved quality of the water in Heron Pond is going to start to emerge. And I don't know exactly how to describe where that is in the phases, but how is that measured and monitored over time for that sort of organic process to be spotlighted and visible and trackable in the course of the cleaning up of Heron Pond and the documentation of how the various measures being taken in the design of that are working? Who can elaborate on that? Very much out of interest, and I'm not saying it contentiously, but I think it's very important information.
Yeah, no, thanks, AE. We completed kind of a base. We have years of data from consultants and CDPHE, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. And then we hired a consultant to do just a baseline analysis of the health of Heron Pond in 2018. And so what we will continue to do over time is track and monitor the water quality during and post construction, so that we can see if all of the water quality improvements that we're installing, systemically work and clean up some of the concerns that we had. So, just different sediment loading, and other maybe like phosphorus and nitrogen, just other things that naturally come in through our stormwater system. So we will definitely continue to track that.
Yeah, and
So
we
just
have,
to take that a little bit deeper, Sensore,
Yeah.
can you put into the discussion how the visibility of that can become an instructional part of what emerges from this park experience in much in honoring the many conversations that have gone on over the years with this, where the struggle has been a sincere one to understand how we can get a clear picture of the environmental factors around us. And it's a very containable example that makes it very teachable. And this is an outdoor classroom. So I don't think we can discuss this in detail tonight. And there may be things I'm aware of the sequences of studies and that kind of thing you're talking about. But what I'm asking for is a forward facing into the neighborhood and the constituency that goes there for education, to somehow figure out a way to make this an identifiable dynamic in the process of bringing this park to life. So just
Yeah.
to put that on the table. And it doesn't
yeah,
have
and
to all be discussed tonight, but just putting it there.
well, just
They
one
say-
quick follow-up is just that, and we're gonna reconvene, you know, the stakeholder group when we re-kick off some of the design components, but there is a very robust interpretive signage / education component to this. And so we, you know, based on what we heard from the master plan and the community, you know, we are talking about the original homesteading of the site as part of the experience. We are talking about the historic contamination and then how this project is going to clean up water quality and restore habitat. And those are all themes that came out of the master plan that we are going to continue to honor as part of the implementation. And so we'll make sure to get into the details with you on how to best message and illustrate that work as part of that interpretive signage and make sure the community has input on that.
I'm going to move us on, if you don't mind, and AE
Yeah.
will, sounds like Sensore and Jim will be following up, but also it's already, they're thinking exactly like you. Great idea to include this instructional value of what's happening there. So I'm going to move us on so that we can go on to CSU at the National Western Center and its update. And I think it's Sarah is going to lead us through that. And Sarah?
Yes, hi. I should have confirmed with you earlier, but will you be sharing the slides on your end, Catherine? Oh,
I think.
or someone will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to present and give an update tonight. My name is Sarah Miley. I'm the program associate for CSU SPUR. So I do a lot of community engagement work as well as coordinating some of the programs and events that we have on site. I'm just going to let you know I have a lot of slides in here. I wasn't sure who would be in the room tonight, and I just wanted to make sure that I touched all areas of interest. But for the interest of time, I'm going to be going through them kind of quickly, but I'm happy to send them to you, happy to discuss anything in further depth afterwards or in a separate meeting. So I'll get started. So for those
Sure,
of
we
you,
have about maybe 15 minutes max, so just
Okay.
watch your time.
I will watch.
Thanks.
You can hold me to it. So for those of you that don't know, CSU SPUR is a 3-building part of the larger National Western Center campus. The purpose of our 3 buildings there are really to inspire youth and the public to engage with global challenges. So that was the #1 vision when we built these buildings. We also want to show educational pathways to careers of the future, and that's opportunities to careers that young kids might not otherwise have or might not otherwise be exposed to. So at CSU SPUR, you can get the opportunity to interact directly with researchers. You can learn about the path that they had to their career, and a lot of times it's windy, and sometimes it doesn't even involve higher education, and that is completely fine. We just want to have a space where kids are thinking about careers in STEM, particularly food and agriculture, water, and human and animal health, given that those are the most pressing issues of our future right now. Additional purposes for SPUR are to create an ecosystem for innovation and collaborative research, to be responsive to our neighborhood, city, and business needs, to create rural and urban connectivity, and to engage the public and open doors to the full CSU system. So I could go on and on about all of these for quite a while, but I will continue on with my slide. So SPUR really is the center between education, outreach, and research. And to our knowledge, we don't know anything that exists in the world that is like it. So it's leveraging the power of what's happening around research at the 3 CSU institutions, but also making that free and open to the public. So our buildings are open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5. They are free to anyone to come in. We offer free experiences for school groups and families as well. And then we also bring in a lot of outreach components. So recognizing that not everyone can get to CSU SPUR, we're building up online opportunities. We're going out into the community. We partner with a lot of local groups to do programming out in communities as well. Next slide, please. This is an offering of the CSU system. So we have 3 institutions, the Fort Collins main campus, CSU Pueblo, and CSU Global. So we'll be bringing down programs. And when I say programs, I mean traditional classes, like a master's in agribusiness, for example, but also some of the programs and offerings that have a heavier outreach component, like our Little Shop of Physics. They do outreach to schools and they bring activities that connect youth to opportunities to engage with physics, fun activities. So those are kinds of the kinds of things that I'm talking about when I'm talking about programs. Next slide, please. So we have quite a few partners involved in this project, and I think this is kind of the top level of who's actually at CSU SPUR, and not necessarily like who we've worked with to create this project all in all. So one of the first building that opened, a main tenant of that building is Denver Dumb Friends League. So they have services at our building as well. And then these are some of the other partners that will be utilizing the spaces. Next slide, please. And this is just a quick overview of where we are. So we have 3 buildings. We have opened Vita in January 2022. This is the building focused on human and animal health. As I mentioned, it is free and open to the public, so you're welcome to come in anytime. It's a great air-conditioned activity for these hot summer days. While entering the building, you can see equine assisted services, so live therapy happening in arena inside. You can see Dumb Friends League performing surgeries on animals. You can talk to veterinarians. We have virtual reality experiences. We have a number of exhibits on the human-animal bond and facts about animals. We have also opened just recently, 2 weeks ago, we opened our Terra building, and that building is focused on food and agriculture. A few things that you'll see in this building: we have a teaching kitchen, so we will be offering nutrition and cooking classes there. We have controlled environment horticulture, so research happening to discover how we can better grow food indoors in the future. We also have research gardens on our rooftops. So also, how can we maximize our urban spaces to produce more food for our communities? Those are some of the features in the Terra building. And then our Hydro building is focused on water, and that opens in January 2023. We'll have exhibits discussing One Water best practices, talking about the South Platte and biology. Denver Water will have almost the the entire third floor for their water quality research laboratory. So again, more opportunities for the public to interact with researchers, to understand the process that goes behind clarifying water and water planning and all of those really important issues as we think about climate change in the future and food. Those all come together in hydro. So we're really excited for that as well. Next slide, please. So this is the location of our site roughly. We are in that first phase of the larger National Western Center campus, just on the east side of the South Platte River. And you can go to the next slide, please. Here's a quick overview too. So just for reference, Heron Pond is up to the left, top left of the site. And the Coliseum and everything are to the right, past the train tracks on the right of this photo. Next slide, please. So these kind of overview, a lot of things that I've already talked about, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what's in the building and what you can experience. So you can go to the next slide, please. Here are some photos from our Vita building now that it's open. We're excited. We have had hundreds at this point of school groups in, families. We host community events. We've hosted CSU events. Probably hundreds of riding sessions at this point too. We spay and neuter at this site up to 70 cats and dogs a day, perform countless surgeries, all of which the public can come and see and interact and learn from all of the activities happening in this building. This is our Terra building. So as I mentioned, a lot of the things already in here. Another offering I might have skipped is our soil, water, and plant diagnostic laboratory. So laboratory where you can bring in your tomato plant or a water sample. You can learn about the process of testing it. You can talk to the researchers and get results right there before your eyes. So here are a few photos from our opening of Terra. And as I mentioned, that was 2 weeks ago. I believe some of you were there, so thank you for coming. It was a really fun event. We had partners in the building. Some of our programs that will live there long-term, like our expanded food nutrition education program, was doing demos in the kitchen. We had tours and planting sessions in our greenhouse from our researchers on site. We had Denver Museum of Nature and Science have activities, the Little Shop of Physics, as I mentioned earlier, Bug Zoo. So lots of fun activities for the family, just to give a sense of what's starting to move into this building and what the opportunities are to be using this building in the future.
Sarah, let's take a break, right? Or maybe go through hydro and then take a break to see if we have any questions or comments from the CAG.
That sounds great. So the last building to open, and then I think a break would be great, is our hydro or water building. So I gave you a sense of what would be in this building as well, but this building opens in January of 2023. It is our largest building. A few other things that are in here, we have a 300-person black box theater. So we're looking at also connections to the arts. So having musical performances, having conferences here, larger meetings. And I think that's all I'll cover for right now, just for the sake of time. Okay.
Are there questions or comments to date or up to this point?
Catherine, there's a question in the chat from Kyle.
Oh, Kyle, how do you sign up for a group tour?
Great question. Thank you, Kyle. For small groups, you're welcome to come in and self-tour anytime. You don't need an appointment. And again, it's free. If you'd like a formal tour, please reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat and we can set up a more in-depth tour for you or anyone else you'd like to bring. We can also do construction tours of our hydro building.
Other questions or comments? Okay. You want to continue then, Sarah?
Sure. I think this is one more building connected to hydro, and this one is unique to the site because it's a historic restoration that we're doing to the McConnell building, which used to be an auto mechanics shop. So in this building, we'll have 6 artist studios, as well as some flexible workspace for some of our partners doing work around food, water, and health, and some casual community meeting space as well on the first floor. So you can go to the next slide. Just to touch on a few things that are really important to us at Spur are sustainability. So all of the buildings are LEED Gold. We have a focus on One Water and One Health. So how all of these topics of food, water, and health connect from a systems perspective. We also use the National Western Center heat recovery project, which is one of the largest in North America. So this is a buried sewer line, essentially, that is wrapped, and we're able to capture heat off of, think of water from your dishwasher and your shower. We capture the heat of that pipe, that large pipe, and we are able to use it to heat and cool all of our buildings. We are also excited to use Spur and the nearby river as for community engaged research and citizen science. So already begun talking with Sensory about how we can align some of the data that we've collected over the last 4 years along the South Platte River. So taking note of flowers and insects and things like that. And then we're also wanting to host annual or biannual events, bringing in the public and getting people engaged, and also collecting the data themselves and reviewing the data and having a one centralized location for all of this information to be
About
stored.
5 more minutes, Sarah, just to give you time. Chat.
Perfect. I'll just end on this next section. So another part of our mission here at Spur is to follow an anchor institution framework. And you'll notice that the beginning bullets are just really best practices and community engagement. So we've spent the last 10 plus years developing relationships with local nonprofits and schools to learn about what services they provide, how we could fill in any gaps, how we could support existing services. We also engage in existing community activities. So we don't want to recreate the wheel, but have this be an extra add-on for the community. We've spent a lot of time, oops, sorry, we can go back one more. We spend a lot of time focusing on college readiness and college access. So we have a number of programs from CSU, like Upward Bound. We also have a Spur scholarship now. So any student in the 80216 zip code can get up to $10,000 to any of our 3 CSU institutions, which is a great help. They can use it for books or lodging or meals or things outside of tuition, since many of those students already qualify for free tuition. And then we also, kind of the next step in this community engagement is to really focus on how we can be utilizing more local small businesses and removing barriers to hiring locally. So again, I could give a whole separate presentation on that, but a few things that we've done is worked pretty intensely with Center for Community Wealth Building over the last 3 years to just get a business directory of local businesses that we can turn to. So we worked with North Denver businesses for both of our grand opening. We have a local events vendor page on our website. So anyone hosting a meeting at Spur already sees that when they book their space. Local caterers, local restaurants and bars, if they're staying in the area, local event rental companies. We are always open to suggestions of how we can broaden our impact in creating and adding to community wealth. And then also removing barriers to hiring locally. So we just started a paid high school internship program. We want to create more pipelines to jobs at CSU Spur, and are working with focus points, for example, to create a pipeline for participants of the Kamal program into using Spur services as well, and working at Spur. So those are just some of the examples of things that fall into that. And here's just some photos, and I'll stop there for now to see if there are any other questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate the time and effort you put in this presentation. Are there questions or comments from our CAG members? I think I'm not seeing any. So I think we'll move on, if we can, to our next topic, which is the 44th and Pearl. These slides are just some things that are going on. And if you have any questions about scholarships or animal clinics, please get in touch with Sarah. And she's put her email address in the chat for anybody who wants to reach out to her about any of those other programs.
And Catherine, before we move on to 44th and Pearl, Karen Good was just going to briefly just share an update on 51st. So Karen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Thanks much, Anthony and Catherine. Just a little heads up, you heard with Heron Pond, there's a lot going on in 51st and in that area. And we don't have a big update, but we may have some small updates between now and the next CAG. So just wanted to give folks a heads up. We may be reaching out about some things we just don't know yet. So more soon, if not before the CAG, at the next CAG. So thanks much, Anthony.
Great, thanks, Karen.
Thanks,
And
Karen.
I'll go ahead now and just go right into 4400 Pearl Street. So as the community knows, this was this site that the Colorado Village Collaborative hosted, the Tiny Homes Village was located for the past 3 years. And they have left the site and are at a new location in Elyria, Swansea. And it is a 0.8 acre parcel of land, which is owned by the city. And so OCBE, in partnership with real estate, hosted a listening session on May 24th, because we wanted to come back and hear from the community their thoughts, what should happen with this parcel of land. And the overwhelming response from the individuals that attended that listening session was, as in previous discussions, that they wanted this to be a pocket park. And so at that meeting, that listening session, Scott Gilmore, the deputy manager of parks, and Lisa Lumley from real estate were there. And I, Parks and Rec was transparent to let the community know that, it's probably going to be a 3-year process to design and construct this pocket park. And so I asked the question of Scott and Lisa, could the community activate that space in the interim? And it was just a wonderful meeting. There was, it was just a hopeful conversation. And the takeaway was that Scott Gilmore was going to go back to the city attorney's office and just be sure that this was possible. And so it is possible, and it is going to happen. So last week, a few community members, along with Scott, Beth, myself, and the city attorney, went back to the site and had some discussions. And next steps to activate this space is a memorandum of understanding, working with a community entity, which is Globeville First. And what we're going to determine is how we can activate this space still this summer. Some of the ideas were like a large community garage sale, probably possible music, and food access. And so the other thing that happened in addition is I ran into or met someone, her name is Wendy from the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment. And they are actually they're working in partnership with the American Red Cross, DDPHE, and DOTI to create Food Hub. And so future conversations are going to be taking place over the next couple of weeks, but basically that would mean a 18-foot refrigerated truck would be placed on the site, and seasonal fruit and fresh fruit would be available for purchase. The other thing that we're doing is, just having spent the past 3 years in this community, what I did not want to do was create a program that come and buy fresh produce and then the community isn't able to purchase the food. Different circumstances for different individuals. So what we're doing is we are trying to find some additional funding so that if individuals, community members are able to pay the price of the food and the fresh produce, they will do so. If it needs to be at a sliding scale, they will do so. And at a very discounted price, that will be available to them as well. So we're in the beginning stages of that conversation, but we're very excited that this parcel of land is not going to sit vacant and unused while Parks and Rec creates the design and ultimately the construction. But community is a part of the conversations and will continue to be as we move forward on this site. So does anybody have any questions? Angela, you were there, or did I miss anything? Angela Garcia. Or Anthony?
No, you seem to have covered everything, and I am beyond excited, as are the people who live here in South Globeville that I've spoke to see this come to fruition.
Terrific. Anthony, anything that I missed?
I don't know if you wanted to allude to the potential buying of that property adjacent to it.
Oh yeah, so there is conversations, but preliminary conversations that there is it's kind of a garage and parked trucks are directly north of the parcel of land. The city is in preliminary discussions to possibly buy that property and be able to extend the parcel of land to add more space for the pocket park. But we're not waiting, as Scott Gilmore mentioned, we are not waiting for that process to unfold and put the activation of the parcel of land that's front and center. And hopefully, I would say as soon as, I'm gonna just say approximate, hopefully by mid-July, we will be able to activate that space through possibly through the fall. And then, if in the fall and winter, community wants to continue to activate that space, weather dependent, I think that we are open to those conversations. So
I might add a couple more things, Anthony.
Thank you,
because I was able to be at the meeting as well. First of all, I think what was really important about the meeting is the members of the CAG who were able to be there, and other members of the community really had an opportunity to invest their time and their interests in that discussion. And so when community comes together, and I think with the city officials, both Parks and Recreation and real estate, as well as DOTI, we came up with a solution that met everybody's expectations. I think congratulations go to Parks and Rec, where Scott really jumped forward at Anthony's suggestion for really the interim use as the planning and design goes for that pocket park, which, as you all know, takes, as Anthony mentioned, up to 3 years. So this particular pocket park really comes out of a situation that was stressful to the community and obviously to the city and county, but a positive outcome with the pocket park being created as a result is really an accomplishment. And congratulations to all the members of the community who have just kept that front and forward the whole time that the Tiny Homes Village was there, as well as
in the recent meetings that we had about the future use. So congratulations to all of you. I think there's opportunity here. Scott is very open, as is real estate, in terms of the use of the park, and Anthony's explained that those are moving forward. So I'm sure there'll be more meetings to come and more discussions to come, but congratulations to all of you for making it happen.
Thanks,
Can I make
Kathy.
a comment, Anthony?
Oh, yes, please.
This is Carla. I sit on the Globeville First RNO. We run the Globeville Center and Birdseed Collective. We've been doing a lot of environmental and climate stuff in the neighborhood. So we've already connected with the Nature Conservancy as well as the Denver Botanic Garden to jump on this project and assist as well. So they're ready to go as well. And we're excited too. So thank you.
Terrific. It's wonderful to see you, Carla. It's wonderful to
Hi,
see you.
everyone.
Hi there. Great. And then, okay, good to know. And then Catherine, I think we have a couple more slides. The authority has an update. Yep, the National Western Center. And I think Beth's going to take those.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so Jen is on vacation. So I said that I would just jump in and give her update very quickly. So this is from her directly. She was just wanting everyone to know that in terms of community outreach and engagement, that a new moderator had been hired, and a facilitator moderator for the CAC. And so Dr. Violeta Garcia, I'm not familiar with her, but I'm sure if Jenna was here, she could tell you a lot more about her. But just be on the lookout for that. And that'll be a good step for the CAC to work through this new moderator. The other part of the picture is the Community, Family, and Friends Day at the National Western Center will be on June 11th. So that's sort of a big celebration. They've had 1,300 people come through Jurassic World so far, which is just a lot of people, hundreds stopping by. And then you can also at that facility exchange patrons with CSU Spur via the main campus plaza. So I think basically there'll be folks there. Sarah, if you know anything more about that, that's great. But otherwise there'll be folks there to talk to and learn more about. Looks like your next CAC meeting is June 22nd. So
It was yesterday.
that was yesterday. So these slides are outdated since she's on vacation.
Yes,
Okay, hope it was a great meeting. So, okay, and then
Thanks, Beth.
Yep, sure. Oh, sorry. There's a little bit more. I hate to tell you, but so she's just kind of letting us know that there's a lot going on out there now, and so we will definitely want to keep following along, paying attention, and integrating with that. So, but I did have to read the last slide here because I know they've looked at a lot of staffing and operation changes, and obviously have a couple new jobs posting as well. But they have hired a new director of community engagement and government affairs. And that is our very own Anthony Aragon. So I thought with that, maybe that's a nice transition, Anthony, for you to let everyone know what's going on.
Yes. So thank you, Beth. Yes. We did announce at the CAC meeting yesterday, and then I've been sharing with others as well that I've accepted this new position, and I will be leaving my last day with Dottie in the city of Denver is July 1st. And then I will transition to my new role on July 5th. The great news is I'm not going too far. I'm still going to gratefully be a part of the Washington CAG. Just will be representing the National Western Authority and National Western Center. And in the interim, Rebecca Draper, who is my manager with OCBE, the Office of Community and Business Engagement, is going to step into my role on an interim basis, and until they hire my replacement. And I just want to personally say thank you to all of the wonderful, amazing community members that I've met. I started with the North Denver Cornerstone Collaborative in February of 2019, and then spent the past 2 years on behalf of OCBE and Dottie in this community. I like to think, building authentic relationships and partnerships over these past 3 years. And And I'm just eternally grateful that this is where my career took me. I want to just personally, I know he's on the phone. I want to just thank Tim Sandos for giving me this opportunity at the suggestion or the nudging of Catherine Archuleta, who is my mentor for the past 30 years. And it's just amazing how full circle this has all come. And it's hard to leave. But I think that we've been able to, and it's thanks to all of the community members here, to create this program of projects concept and this community advisory group concept and process. And we've been able to implement it in Northeast Downtown 5 Points. And we've also been able to introduce it and implement it. It initially started as the West Colfax, but we're moving it into the West area program of projects. And it's just really coming to the community with one unified city voice, and also just recognizing that community gets fatigued when we get in silos and we just come to you one project at a time. And what this CAG model has been able to produce is there's several projects that are happening, and that we hopefully have been able to update you and sort of go more in-depth projects at a time, but also just to keep you informed as to process and progress to date, and also including our partners from Parks and Recreation, the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center, the Authority, because we're all in community. And I think that when we sort of together, as and cross-pollinate with one another, as I like to say, it's to the betterment of the community. So I want to just personally just say thank you. You helped create this citywide model in Glowville, Elyria, and Swansea. And thanks to you and your input, we have been able to, like I said, implement that in other parts of the city. And we will continue, OCBE will continue to create other opportunities with programs and projects across the city. So I'm going to stop there and say thank you. And you'll get email now from Rebecca Draper in the interim, but I still plan to see you every month. And once I have my new email, and I will see several of you just in a different capacity, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My cell number is going to stay the same. Anything that, if I can be helpful with the Authority or with the National Western Center, please know I'm ready to partner with you and continue to do so. So thank you.
So Anthony will become a member of the CAG. So we'll get to see him every month. He'll have to raise his hand now as when he wants to talk. So we'll watch him carefully. I want to thank everybody. We're right a minute after the time. I just want to say thank you to Anthony and all his leadership. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you next month with Rebecca and the team. And if you have any questions, please, Anthony will be around till July 1st. Also, we're recorded this meeting, as well as, and it will be posted on our website again. So I want to thank all of you for being with us here tonight, and I'll let you go home to dinner and be with your family. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Good night.